Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby. Got Mark Johann as always. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Kev, good.
Rugby's back.
Finally, we've been chatting for the last two and a half months about New Zealand, Australia, South African players overseas. Finally to say we're going to have a game in South Africa this Saturday. It's the Vodacom Fan Day. It's similar to the Super Heroes Day that was in Soweto early in the year. The only difference is different teams playing each other. The Lions will play against the Stormers, that's the late game, and the Bulls will play against the Sharks. Jake White, we'll finally see what he's been doing behind closed doors for the last 3 months. I'm sure that team was taking contact.
I have no doubt about that. Look, it's great that rugby's back. We should point out that this is just a run out for the guys and more of an exhibition style. It doesn't count towards anything.
It counts towards no points. It does give the broadcaster a couple of games on Saturday. It's the announcement that, as you said, rugby is back in South Africa officially. It's more to promote the virtues of the game. Funny enough, the Soweto, the Superhero Day, when they'd been in training for a while, was very competitive and the scores were quite close. I'm expecting this one to be a lot more free-flowing, given that these guys know they're going into a competition where they have to play each other in the next fortnight. That will go double round through till the 16th of January. So hopefully there will be getting the cobwebs off, throwing that ball around, kind of playing for tries and just getting people excited about the quality of player in South Africa. And it will speak to the testament of how much depth there is in the local game. And I'm expecting high scoring games. We chatted just before we came onto the show. Who do you think is going to win? We'll toss a coin, you know. I just think the Lions and the Bulls have been training at altitude for the last 3 months, and the boys from the coast are going up there in the next couple of days, and those Lions could take a beating on early Saturday evening and late Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I think so, Mark. You're probably right with that. I just hope, because if you look at the NFL, who had no training camp really, or any contact games or exhibition games, they're finding out now in their run-outs that they've never seen so many injuries in terms of the guys that are going down.
Yeah, I think conditioning will be a huge factor, because if you go back to New Zealand and the UK, and they were kind of like, and Ireland and Wales, they set the standard of how it should be done. But they were allowed to have contact training for the best part of 6 weeks before they started their season, where we pretty much had it for 3 weeks, officially, you know, and that's why I say nothing would surprise me if the boys up north have been in good contact training behind closed doors. But it's, people need to just see this game for what it is. It's showcasing the talent. It's another glorified trial for Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus to see, outside of their World Cup winners, what's on show and how these World Cup winners are going to respond to the challenge in South Africa. Then we look at the green and gold, the Springbok green against the Springbok gold, the next weekend at Newlands in Cape Town, where the Boks were supposed to play Scotland in their final ever test match at Newlands. This will be like a goodbye to the old lady of Rugby Stadium in South Africa. And interesting about that is the draft pick, where they've identified 60 players. Dion Davids and Sticks will coach the one side. Jock will be in charge of the other side, and Sticks is one side and Dion Davids the other side, and Jock and Rassie will oversee the thing. And it's going to be a schoolyard pick where I pick one, you pick one, and it's again showcasing the talent that's there. Rassie has said he just wants players to express themselves, to show the selectors kind of what they've been doing over the last 3 months in terms of fitness. And then we get into the real stuff. The week after that, October the 10th, is where we start a 7-team Currie Cup competition that runs through to the 16th of Jan. But the 4 Super Rugby franchises all their players will be available for the first 4 weeks of that competition, the first 4 rounds. The points that are gained from that, just between those 4 franchises, will go towards a domestic Super Rugby winner, as you've had in Australia and New Zealand. So lots to look forward to South African-wise over the next 3 weeks.
It's a bit sad that we're saying goodbye to the grand old lady of rugby stadiums in South Africa with that type of game. Not that we're not hungry for rugby, but it's sad. I mean, do you have any special memories from that stadium that you'd like to share?
Yeah, Jess, I kind of wrote about it last week. I think one of my most special memories was being there as an 8-year-old, and Western Province played against the All Blacks, 1976. That gives away my age. And Robbie Blair, who was this iconic figure for me, the fluff, left-footed, kicked everything. Wherever he went in his career, I followed that team. Even so, when he came back and played one last season as an old man, he played at Van der Stel. I followed them for a year. And he had missed eight penalties in the game. And when I finally got to meet him a couple of years ago, I asked him about that, and he said that the All Blacks just before kickoff had asked for the Super Springbok ball to be flattened because they didn't like the ball as being as hard as that. And his whole career said he had never kicked a ball that flat, and it spooked him the whole game. And but then he nailed an 80th minute sideline conversion, his second successful kick of the game for the All Blacks to be beaten 12-11. And that day, in front of 50,000 people at Newlands, Province beating the All Blacks, Mornay du Plessis playing a blinder, Chris Pope being superb, the kick from Blair. I fell in love with the stadium, fell in love with Province, and kind of fell in love with South African rugby. So as a schoolboy, that was one of my great memories. From a personal note, anytime the All Blacks played against South Africa, and the first one I went with my dad and my brother when I was 8, and the last match, 25-24 in 2017, went with Ollie, my son, and kind of experienced that in the stand. So from a fan perspective, those were the two that really stand out for me. Professionally, every time the Springboks won, it was a highlight.
Yeah, for me it had to be '97 when the Lions were here, and me and my brother watched the game. Great tickets for the game, and the crowd, the atmosphere. It was my first international at Newlands,
and that was massive. To have the Lions, who were underdogs going into that game against the Springboks, playing superbly. The Matt Dawson dummy going over and scoring. Scott Gibbs just being a monster as he was all series. And then having the Lions supporters there as well. I think wherever you bring that sea of red in, it creates an atmosphere that's unlike anything in the world when it comes to a rugby game.
Yeah, I remember going out after that match, and it was raining that day. And,
raining red.
And the streets there, it was just such an eerie. The pubs were quiet, the bars were quiet. It was just, but at the stadium, it was a special day. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and then let's not forget it. Every single Super Rugby, Currie Cup and Test match at that SA Rugby magazine suite was always a special day, a special night into the early hours of the morning.
It certainly was.
So I'm excited to kind of see the talent on show, and to see how these guys adapt to this trial type concept where you may start in the D team and end up in the A team. But I like the innovation that's again been shown by Rassie and by Jacques. It's something that we haven't seen in the past, pre them. And again, we put New Zealand on the pedestal in this country. We put Australia to a degree, England. Let's also acknowledge when our guys are doing something that's very innovative and, in a way, giving us a north-south game, but making sure that there's no predetermined favourites because of the quality of play in the north or the play in the south.
Well, this brings me to my next question. This green and gold game, how much stock can someone that's on the peripheral of box selection, can a good performance in that game take them over the line?
Definitely. I think what they are looking at, he also knows what he's got. Those World Cup winners who are playing overseas and the seasoned veterans who are in the system. This is a wonderful opportunity for a couple, I'd say probably 5 or 6 youngsters to push for inclusion in that rugby championship squad if they do go.
Because of the size of it.
Because it's 45 players that would go.
Yeah.
And my understanding is if it does go ahead in Australia, as they put it out there, it could be that you play twice a week. So there would be match game time opportunities as well. So everything to play for without a doubt. And with a season that's just been as crazy as this one, there is no form to go with. The only form is what we've seen from the UK and from the French leagues.
Yeah.
And those players will be available. It just depends again on how seriously they want to take the defense of the Rugby Championship in these extraordinary circumstances, or do they use it as a feeder a tournament and expose blokes on the periphery to play in Australia, New Zealand, overseas, and creating a kind of World Cup type atmosphere. And he may feel in the long run that's far more beneficial than taking his best team underdone and they get done and people say, what have you gained from the tournament?